This is a very serious, alarming situation developing. SHIT just got real. Source leaks surprise election military drill. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, preparing for no rule of law after Election Day. Perhaps we have to take in mind what George Soros declared, that everything will be showing Hillary Clinton as winning, whereas everything would be rigged. So going on with this article, perhaps they know something that we don't, and that's why they're preparing for this. SHTF plan is exclusively reporting that the U.S. military, DHS, and FEMA are gearing up for a huge, officially unannounced martial law drill set to start October 30th and running through to 30 days after the election. Supposedly, this is a drill. It just so happens it's taking place before and after the election. And we're wondering why is that's just now, again, what comes to mind is Hillary's almost $2 billion transfer from the United States, from the Clinton Foundation, to Qatar, shocking the whole Western banking world. Why would a presidential candidate who believes she's going to win the presidential election of the superpower of the world transfer such a huge amount of money outside of the country that she will be running, quote unquote? What is she expecting? Some kind of a landslide having to do with a global economic crisis or a United States economic crisis? Maybe she's got insider information, just like she had during the 2008-2009 crash, where her people surrounding her made a 920% profit on insider information that they knew. Maybe it's the same situation here. I'm just saying, because I'm just imagining things. I'm not saying this is the situation. I'm just saying it could be a possibility again. 8 years later. Going back to the article. By the sound of it, this has nothing to do with foreign invaders, but with quelling potential mass civil unrest inside America in American streets. Quote, this tip came through the back channels. Its implications are astounding. If there is any truth to it, the 2016 election could be a kickoff for total tyranny. And at the end of this article, I will also have to remind myself to tell you what an Orthodox Christian saint's prophecy was concerning America and Barack Obama. Going on with the article. If there's any truth to it, the 2016 election could be a kickoff for total tyranny. According to an unnamed source who has provided accurate intel in the past, an unannounced military drill is scheduled to take place during a period leading up to the election, as we said, October 30th, and throughout the month after. It appears that the system is gearing up to handle outbreaks of violence, chaotic rallies, and poll stations, and the possibility of the people of the United States may become very dissatisfied with the outcome by using military force and martial law. I wonder what that means. Maybe they'll be dissatisfied because the outcome will be someone involved in unsecure email servers and criminal activities, especially in foreign governments, etc., and all their aides and advisors. The drill could, of course, as the article says, go live at any time. Homeland Security and the military are prepared to contend with a period of unrest and restore order to a divided and broken country, regardless of whether people like their new leader or not. Oh my goodness! Oh, whether we like it or not, we have to eat our cake. Whether we like the SHIT cake or not, we have to eat it and live with it. What does this mean? As you know, this says the article, DHS is already monitoring this election and prepared to take over its critical infrastructure, quote unquote. The scope of this drill would, of course, take things much further. Hi guys, I got some gouge from a former military colleague who is in contact with active duty personnel, and he received an email about an upcoming drill. We need confirmation on this, but if we put it out there, we might get a leaker to come forward and confirm. Date, October 30th, 30 days after the election, suspected region, Northeast, specifically New York. As we remember, in Hurricane Sandy, it was the area of Greater New York, which has, and its surrounding areas, of course, which has almost 1/5 of the population of the United States. Okay? That was the population statistics at that time. 1/5 of the population of the United States. So, if that thing is again hitting that area, uprising and people taking to the streets, because, you know, when things are not democratic, people tend to get angry and run to the streets and start yelling at their leaders. And New Yorkers are very full of fortitude when it comes to that. They've got a lot of skeleton and backbone. They've got backbone of steel. So if that happens again, we're going to have some kind of a quote-unquote situation similar to perhaps Hurricane Sandy that had a 90% steering inland that hit the area, and a lot of people could not even go out to vote, if we remember correctly. It was like yesterday, so I'm sure we remember correctly. So, Northeast, specifically New York, Phase 1, no rule of law, NROL, no rule of law, drill involving combat arms in metro areas, active and reserve. Source says active duty and reserve service members are being vaccinated as if they're being deployed in theater, vaccinated. Phase 2, limited rule of law, LROL, military/FEMA, consolidating resources, controlling water supply, handing out to public as needed. Oh my God, we're gonna die of thirst. That's one way to kill off the resistance. Die of thirst, die of hunger, just die, drop dead. Controlling water supply, you hand out to the public as needed. So obviously they'll have some way of coding people if they're resistance or non-resistance. So maybe people have to have water purifiers, go to the ocean, go to Hudson River and purify the water from any lakes and rivers around you. New York has a lot of rivers and lakes. What can I say? This is, okay, we shouldn't laugh because, you know, military and retired military were warning us 4 years ago concerning the October surprise that did happen with Hurricane Sandy. It did happen. And they were right. They said, you know, something very drastic and big and astonishing was going to take place. The October surprise was Hurricane Sandy, and the people in the New York area, 20% of the population of the United States live there, 1/5, could not go out to vote. And as we know, Obama won by a very slight margin, about 1.5 million votes. I mean, that's very low. So if those New Yorkers did go out to vote, Obama would not have become president, I'm sure. We're all sure, okay? So that's phase 2. Military FEMA, consolidating resources, controlling water supply, people are going to die of thirst, handing out to public as needed. Oh, and just, you know, it'll be by coincidence that people that are resisting are not going to have water because, you know, the FEMA and military are going to be out of water bottles that moment. Phase 3, AROL, authoritarian rule of law. Authoritarian rule of law, possible new acronym or term for martial law. Curfew, restricted movements, basically martial law scenario. Source said exercise involves FEMA, DHS, and military. Okay, I'm just going to, I'll finish the article and then I'll tell you what happened to me when I was small. So far, this drill has not been confirmed outside the single source. That may be, now that it's in the alternative media, others will come forward to verify it. However, with everything else going on right now geopolitically, this makes sense. Obviously, with this election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, large masses of people are going to be pissed off either way, no matter who wins. The government must recognize that fact. Of course, because if Donald Trump wins, George Soros is going to unleash the hounds of hell. Because, his global elite plan is going to be falling into the abyss of hell. The first phase of the drill refers to, quote, combat arms in metro areas, end quote. The second phase is about controlling the water supply. Oh, we just happen to have no water for people that we believe are resistant. The third phase is martial law without saying it. By the looks of this, the system is gearing up for a fight with the people on election day. Could the system's consolidation of power behind Hillary and her ascension to the U.S. throne have something to do with it? No matter what, it's never too late to be prepared until it's too late to be prepared. This is by Piper McGowan of the Daily Sheeple. It's on Daily Sheeple. Now, let me tell you what curfew is like. Because when I was small, we used to live in Cyprus. And Cyprus was under British Commonwealth rule. And we had a lot of problems with the Turks of Cyprus at that point. Anyway, there was always some kind of squabbles going on. So what was going on is we had a curfew. We had a curfew various times of the day. And in the summer, as we know, in the Mediterranean, the sun sets around 9, and it's beautiful weather. Anyway, most people could not get back to their home in time for curfew, which was 7 p.m. And at 7 p.m., all the military in jeeps were flooding every single street corner. And if you were on the street, you'd get your head bashed in with a baton. Or, your shins would be kicked in with a baton. Or, your back all of a sudden would be struck with a baton. So the thing with us is that my mother, God bless her soul, rest her soul, and my sister were blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Okay? I'm a brunette and brown-eyed brunette. But my sister was like a little golden-haired little angel with blue eyes, and my mother the same. A beauty, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauty. And we never got stopped. Whenever they stopped our car, my mother would tell my sister, okay, my little love, speak English, because we were going to a British school, and we learned Queen's English. By the time we left Cyprus, went to Canada, people were ridiculing us because we were speaking Queen's English. We would go to school and we would ask for an eraser from the nearby girl sitting next to us, or little boy sitting next to us, and we say, may I please borrow your rubber? And they say, what the hell are you talking about? It's an eraser, you dingbat. By the time we learned how to speak, English, American English, we went through, a lot of strife trying to get rid of our Queen's English. Anyway, that's curfew. We got through curfew because my mother and my sister looked as if they were British. They didn't look as if they were Cypriot, because Cypriots are basically dark-skinned from the sun, and dark-skinned. So that's curfew. It's terrible. Curfew's terrible. And you get into a lot of trouble. You could be arrested because they'll think if you're out after curfew, that means you're resistance. The fastest way to disappear off the street and your family by getting arrested, perhaps never to be seen and heard of again. Now, as I promised you, and before I forget, recently, a priest monk of the Orthodox Church here in Greece told me concerning, sometimes we talk about geopolitics, and he told me concerning Barack Obama that one recent saint said that he would be the last president of the United States. And I said, well, how can that be? I mean, it's a democratic country. They've got rules, they've got laws, and there's a succession of presidents, and people change every so often, every 4 years, every 8 years, and the president changes with the electoral process. And I said, maybe they mean that he's the last colored president of the United States. Maybe they mean that he's the last man before a woman comes to the office presidency of the United States. Who knows? I was just trying to figure out what the prophecy said. No, he says no. This saint said that he would be the last president of the United States, whatever that means. And I said, well, God forbid. I mean, the world does go on because we do have God's mercy, and the United States is a Christian country. And there's a lot of little Christians, simple Christians, that believe in Christ, and their heart cries out for truth and justice. And that's what God is all about as well, truth and justice. And he hears our prayers. Anyway, I'll leave a link below for you for this on the Daily Sheeple.